Welcome to our quarterly webinar series presented in coordination with John Burns Real Estate Consulting Group. This is Heather Knudsen, HomeSphere's Director of Marketing. I want to formally welcome each of you to today's event, Kitchen and Bath Trends, sponsored by HomeSphere's preferred partner, Gerber Dans. This topic is back by popular demand, so we know it's definitely a hot topic as we welcome our 400 plus participants registered for today's event. And our first presenter today is Sharon Overby from Gerber Dans. Gerber provides top-performing, high-quality plumbing products to builders at affordable prices. And their sister company, Dans, offers kitchen and bathroom faucets designed to delight your senses and make your day just that much brighter. Today, I want to welcome Sharon. Sharon is their Vice President of Sales, and we'll now hear a short presentation from her on behalf of Gerber Dans. Sharon.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the webinar. And thank you, Molly, for allowing us to have a couple of minutes this morning to talk about one of my favorite subjects, obviously my favorite two children, Dans and Gerber. And for those of you that weren't already aware of the fact that the two of us have some sort of a relationship, Gerber and Dans are sibling companies. Gerber, obviously, the VC powerhouse, and Dans, Gerber's cute younger sister, who specializes in brass products. So we think the two of them, obviously, together are the perfect combination. And both, obviously, are partners with HomeSphere. So bringing a great opportunity to all of you, obviously, as builder partners. Gerber is really a professionals brand. Their mantra is really set it and forget it. When you put a Gerber product in one of your products, you know that when you put it in, you're going to get a top-performing product, and when you put it in, you know that it's going to work. Gerber is really known for their channel exclusivity. They're professionally made and professionally sold. This isn't a product that you're going to find in big box stores. This is the reason that the plumbers absolutely flock to the brand. The Gerber brand is known for its classic good looks. It's an affordable alternative to some of the big brand marketing companies, and they're also extremely well known for their selective distribution philosophy. This year, Gerber again was recognized as a Best Buy by Consumer Reports. They've consistently been written up in all of the top trade magazines, as well as being, as I said, constantly given accolades by the plumbing community. They're loved by most of the large builders. They are in all of the top 25 at this point, and have just taken a national contract with D.R. Horton. Gerber has a extensive lineup of decorative suites with a full complementary line of toilets, including full mount, floor mount back outlets, and one-piece, two-piece toilets, lavatories, and coordinating products. The classic good looks and solid performance are, as I said, well documented in the industry. Decorative suites go from traditional, transitional to contemporary. They have some new products in the Wicker Park series in Logan Square that I think everyone should surely take a look at. That includes some new concealed trap product that are just absolutely stunning. And now, as we talk about Gerber, we can now go over to the decorative brass side and show some other complementary products, and then go over as well into the kitchen. Now, starting with Dans, and kind of where Dans comes from, we really believe that products improve people's lives. We think of ourselves as much as a health and beauty aids product company as anything else, because without brass and VC products in your house, it's not going to be pretty for very long. We think that with Dans, we really give you the power to differentiate with a lot of uniquely designed products and collections that give you the opportunity to really pull away from the rest of the crowd. More than really just a faucet company. We help. Our goals are really pretty simple. There are three basic tenets. We think we can help you sell more product, make more money. We think we're easy to deal with while we're doing that. And if we can do those three things, we think that obviously we're somebody that you're going to do business with. Our whole goal is to break out with style and do it with a little bit of emotion and have some fun with it. If you take a look at a lot of the campaigns that you see these days, they're focused really on technology and things that really don't speak to the core customer that we try to reach out to and speak to, and that's really the female consumer, and that's who we find buys probably 95% of the product that's sold in the category. The other 5% that men think that they buy is really bought by the other 5% of women. That's just the 5% of delusional men that think that they're making that selection purchase. So that's kind of how we see the category. So the range of products that you typically see go from kind of the boring, teapot two-handle up to the crazy upscale niche that we think is something that people can't really relate to. And somewhere in the middle is where we've always kind of tried to keep Dan's. And that's what we kind of think is that fun, playful, progressive, and interesting spot in the center. And that's where we've always tried to position ourselves. We try to be, a little bit of a refreshing and fun way to look at your bathroom, and we try to design all of our products with our customers in mind and think about the way that they're going to use things, because you never know what you're going to come up with and what you're going to find in the kitchen sink. So if you do things a little bit differently and a little bit fun, it's just a new way to look at your products in your kitchen. And it all really starts with, the basic underlying amount of the products. We have a full line of complementary valves. We can give you options from everything from a basic half-inch pressure balance system all the way up to a 3/4 inch custom car wash shower, but it all kind of starts with basic instruction. Everything we do, we look at ease of installation, ease of maintenance, how customers are going to use it going forward. We have very crisp new retraction systems, easy maintenance systems ongoing. They're very easy in terms of the way that the plumber installs them. So from installation to ongoing maintenance, it's all very easy. So we think about it from kind of cradle to grave in terms of our whole product experience. Same things with our lavatory. We also put in laminar flow aerators, which take out all of the air bubbles in the column of water, which gives you kind of a sculptural flow. You also get the benefit of it being water sense, so you get water savings along with the ability to have something that's a little bit easier to use. So again, just the use of the product. Same thing with our shower heads. We have the ability to go with anything from a leads flow all the way up to standard flow. So whether you're leads interested or water sense compliant, or you want a standard flow, we can handle any of your needs. We were also recognizing Good Housekeeping as investors' fave. So again, just recognition for overall performance. So why Dan's? It's nice to have those little usage things. It's nice to have a little bit of fun, but kind of the bottom line, and that's really ability to help you make more money and differentiate when you're trying to sell your homes. We also observe selective distribution. Dan's was really built the kitchen and bath showroom, the plumbing wholesaler, and the builder community. And we also don't distribute into the big box retail segment, so not in the Home Depot, not in Lowe's, Menards, that sort of thing. When you take a look at our product, you'll see, again, a lot of high decorative detailing and styling, and little details that you don't see in other manufacturers' products, including metal side sprays and a little bit more premium detailing. When you compare us against the competition is really where we stand out. You see the price differential. As an example, list to list, if you take a look at our product versus a similar Moen product, list to list, there's this 31% price differential. So again, that's where the savings are really more visible. You'll handle lavatory. Look versus Moen and Delta, low of 8% difference, high of 11.4. As you get higher into the decorative finishes, more of a difference. Again, this is where you start to really see us pull apart in terms of a difference. Again, if you're trying to differentiate versus some of the national builders, if you don't have a $450, $500 rebate package, this is where you start to really see the differences. And when you take a look at the programs that Gerber and Dan's have with HomeSphere, and you layer in the differences list to list, and you take a look at our builder programs, you're going to start to see some real differences. And the ability to take a look at our styles and Gerber styles versus some of the other styles you see in the marketplace, we have some real products and some real opportunities to show you something very, very different, an opportunity to make you more money, and the opportunity to show something different out in the marketplace. We also have some virtual showroom apps available that you can take out into the marketplace using your design centers to help you sell decorative upgrades and other things to help you sell more product. We also have a quality care program. In the first year of installation, any problems with any products, we'll reimburse you up to 2 hours labor to repair any problems with our products, up to $150 in writing. So to make it easy to do business with us. So something to think about. And appreciate you joining us today and give us a couple of minutes to talk a little bit about our products. And thank you, Molly and HomeSphere, for having us today. And thank you all, everyone, for joining us. And I hope you enjoyed the presentation today. Thank you.
Thanks, Sharon. That was terrific and a great introduction to Molly's kitchen and bath trends. And I'm really excited about this one. This was probably our most popular webinar that we had last year in 2014. Sharon, before you go on mute there, just a quick question. I believe you guys are going to be at the Pacific Coast Builder Show next week, and I'm assuming Gerber Dans will have a booth there. Did you want to give us a shout out for your booth number?
I would love to, and I do not have the
Okay.
number in front of me, so I feel really stupid.
No,
Yes,
that's
we
it.
absolutely are going to be at PCBC next
Okay.
week, and we would love to see anybody that's going to be attending next week. Gerber and Dans is going to have a co-branded booth, and we will be there from dawn to dusk for the entire time. Would love to have the opportunity to meet with anybody that's going to be present at the show to walk you through all of our products and talk to you about your individual needs, and would love to have the chance to meet all of you.
That's perfect. So I'm sure, yeah, I didn't mean to catch you off guard, and I'm sure everybody can look in the directory and swing by your booth. So perfect. Thanks so much, Sharon, and thanks for sharing your cool products. I know there's quite a few builders that are going to find that information useful. And just a reminder, if you have any questions for Sharon, I'd encourage you to use the chat feature. And if we have some time, we'll cover those at the end. We're going to now turn our attention to today's core presentation from John Burns Real Estate Consulting. They're a partner of HomeSphere and an industry leader in housing research. Today, they'll be presenting our hot topic, kitchen and bath trends, and I'd now like to pass over the presentation to Molly Carmichael. Molly is a principal at John Burns in the custom consulting practice. Molly, I'll let you take it from here. Molly, I'm guessing you are self-muted. If you can unmute, we're going to let you talk, but I want to make sure everybody can hear you okay, and there you go. You're perfect.
I can. Thank you, guys. I'm excited to be here today. Thanks so much for having us. Can you see the screen okay? Is it all coming up okay on your end?
I can hear you now, and I can see your screen. That's great.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so diving in. Well, thanks, everybody, for joining us. We've got some really exciting images and stuff to talk about as it relates to kitchen and bath. As we go through the presentation, I'm going to go through just briefly a little bit about us, so you know a little bit about our company and how we do what we do. I'm going to do a high level, just some very quick slides from a consumer perspective, because we think that's a pretty big thing to understand as you're diving into. All kitchen and baths are not equal, as all of you know. And then we're also going to look at kind of what their style is. And then from there, we're going to look at it at kitchen and bath solutions and kind of see how those relate to some of the consumer preferences out there, who's out there shopping, and tie that all back together. There's some little extras that we think are special to look at, and I'm going to end with, after looking at all the stuff we're going to look at today, what are really the top 10 takeaways or top 10 trends, and then how do you get more access to great information about product and staying on top of product. I'll tell you a little bit about Design Lens as a part of that. It's a new program that we're featuring that actually has quite a bit to offer as you guys are planning and figuring out what to do next for this competitive market. So a little bit about us. We are, again, as Heather mentioned, a full research company. We are nationwide, and we do monthly research. We've got a team of people here across the country trying to stay on top of everything you can think of that it takes to make a good real estate decision. So I think we have some of the smartest and brightest in the country. We also have a custom consulting team. Sorry about that. With my goodness. With people actually on the ground, on the front lines, talking to not only your sales teams, but looking at a lot of this analysis at the local level too. And then last but not least, what we're going to talk a lot about today is the consumer research that we do, and more importantly, some of the product solutions that aligns with that consumer research. So we reach out to over 1 million new home shoppers across the country about a year to 2 years apart. And then we report on what they're looking for. It usually ends up being about 20,000 people that respond to that. And then Design Lens is a solution that helps you kind of understand what are real new home developers and builders doing. And today's discussion is we've looked at a bunch of these communities across the country and who are what we would consider to be the leaders in the forefront here. So again, this kind of shows you where we do our business, where we have offices across the country. We have, I think, the smartest people in the country out there helping you to make better decisions. You can see where they're at regionally, so this gives you some idea on where we're at. And this is the whole process and what we do and how we do what we do. Obviously, the market health portion is what we talked about, which is, you know, should you be in that market? And that's what our whole research team is doing, is looking at all those indicators that help you to understand a good investment, where to make that investment, and all the factors involved in that. We also do a lot of demographic research. We have a chief demographer on staff, and for the last 2 years, that's all he's been doing, is really understanding what are the big trends that are impacting the housing market and how those demographics play a part in what you should be thinking about, not just from a market perspective and where you should be, but what kind of products should you be building. We also do a demand by life stage model, and that demand by life stage model tells you exactly who's buying homes today and what they're buying. Consumer preferences is the consumer insights that we actually referenced, and that's all about what are consumers wanting in the next 2 to 5 years. So what's the look forward, and how does that relate to what's going on out there? And then the typical stuff that everyone else is looking at. Going out there and shopping all the existing competition out there, seeing who's performing out there, how are builders different from each other. The product solution side is all about design lens, and that's what you're going to see today. We're constantly looking at where should the product trends be going, where are they going, where are they excelling. And in every case, when we look at product today together as a group, I want you to look at this as not the whole solution. But when I look at a lot of these product solutions, I'm looking at the parts and pieces that I can apply, whether it's the very luxury side of the market, the very affordable side of the market, and I'm going to touch on some of those parts and pieces as we go through. And again, I'm going to wrap up with what I think are the top 10 takeaways. And then, of course, everybody wants to make money, so we're always looking at this from a financial standpoint as well. Anybody who is in this business is passionate about what they do, and they're passionate about this business. It's a great business to be in. And so certainly that's important, but we all have to make sure that we're all financially viable and doing great things for the company. And marketing sales, none of us could do any of this if we didn't have a great sales team and a lot of marketing behind that. So from there, let's dive into the 3 things that I think really set us apart largely as a consulting firm is the demand by life stage and consumer preferences, and certainly being able to track best products across the country. I'll touch on that just a little bit as well. So let's talk a little bit about knowing your consumer first, some of the top consumer trends, and why I think this is such a critical discussion today. But design really continues to matter more today than ever. We're entering a very competitive world. Affordability is getting a lot more constrained. We're at a low interest rate environment, and interest rates can only go up at some point. And so affordability is huge. So when we actually looked at what motivated consumers to actually go out there into the new home world and actually look for a home, number 1 was location, and number 2 was price. But number 3 is the one you can control, and that's all about design, and that was interior home design, ranked number 3 is the top motivating factor to actually go out there and buy a new home. So design, obviously, we think is critical. And the top prompt, as we ask them, so what's the top prompt that you're looking for as you buy your next home? Again, pointing to all that interior home stuff. It's different home layout. It's seeking new features and design. Again, those are the top 2 above many other factors, including things like interest rates and affordability and price. But all of these, again, continue to emphasize how important all of us need to be just on great design trends and how that relates to consumers and what they want. We then asked them what's the most important home features that they want. Again, amongst a variety of different things, top 2, interior style and more function over size. That was more important than buying a bigger home. That was more important than I'm changing my location. The top, all of these things are again, circling back to the importance of design. And last but not least, and the reason why we think kitchen and bath has been so popular in the last couple of years and why it continues to be very popular is the most important room in the home amongst about 20 different choices. It's the great room, kitchen and family room for sure. And why is that? You spend about 80% of your time in this space. It's where you spend most of your time all the time. And so it's a huge, important component. So that's what we're going to talk about today, and that's why we think it's such an important thing to talk about. As we look at just knowing your consumer and who's out there, I think this is an important component as well. If you look at the bottom, this is year born for all of our the population out here. And in 2015, this shows you the percentage of population or the number of population by what we're calling the different generations. We've done an extensive amount of research that's actually broken this into decades as well, that Chris Porter in our office has even more detail on. But as we look at this just from a generational standpoint, you can see right now Gen Y is the largest population as a whole, But at the end of the day, there's a portion of that population that's actually much younger in age. And what we have identified is the millennial generation, or the Gen Y generation that's out there buying, really is about that 28 years of age or older, or 26 years of age or older. So that's really what we put a lot of our focus on. And so really today, if we look at that, the baby boomers and Gen X are really your largest buying population today. So as I've looked at that data in relationship to consumer insights, and we looked at that data as in relationship to our demand, you'll definitely see today it's Gen X and the boomers, but the millennials are certainly coming, and we think they're really coming in full force about 2019. When we look at today's shoppers, who's actually shopping out there in the new home market, it's pretty interesting, but 38% are mature couples. And why is that such a big number? First of all, it takes them about 2 years to make a decision. Young couples and young families actually take about 3 to 6 months to make a decision. So they're going to be out there longer, and so they're going to be out there in bigger numbers, and so that's certainly a portion of it as well. But 39% are still families, between young families, mature families, and multi-generational families. The bigger number is young families, and logically speaking, when you get married, when you have children, when you have more children, those are all life-changing events that trigger home ownership, and that's really what's driving that. As we look to actually today's population and what that looks like, when we look at the 26 plus population in relationship to today versus 2019, you will actually see Gen Y is a very small number today, and this is what I was referencing just earlier. Gen X and boomers are certainly your largest population out there shopping and or buying, but by 2019, again, you're going to start to see Gen Y really rivaling that. So really understanding how they think, how they play, how they live, all those things we think are pretty crucial as we think about home buying trends, and certainly kitchen and bath are part of that. So what's their style? Overall, as we look at the styles today, and again, primary shoppers being mature couples, followed by Gen X, and Gen Y being sort of a slightly smaller percentage, and I'll talk to you a little bit about the differences, but 52% of our consumers are actually leaning towards traditional still. We're seeing the modern percentage actually grow quite a bit, and actually the modern percentage grows more for the mature segments and the more affluent segments than they actually do for the younger segments. And why is that? The younger segments are more concerned about making bigger risk and really ensuring their financial investment. It's their first purchase, so they want to make sure resale value is strong and things like that. But we are seeing a nice trend and a nice shift towards modern, and we expect to see that to continue to grow over the next couple of years, especially given some of the stuff that I've seen out there and what's actually selling well and where there's some great excitement. As we look at top 3 styles when we ask them to pick amongst choices, modern traditional was #1 across the board for all of our consumers, followed by casual organic and traditional. I'd like to underscore that modern traditional is a favorite because it's clean lines, it has a slightly more sophisticated feel, but there are some core bones to this that are traditional in just the trim detailing and some of that stuff. We're seeing a huge trend, and you'll see this in kitchen and bath that we're going to show you. Anything that's natural material or connecting with nature or natural light, it's really big in our kitchens today. And we're losing cabinetry and we're moving things around just to really continue to enhance that natural light. And then the traditional side of it, it tends to be a little bit more popular on the East Coast versus the West Coast, although we're starting to see that trend change a little bit as well as that more contemporary vibe starts to move to the East. So we did ask them in much more detail here as well, and so we break this up by life stage and price point, and we've analyzed the heck out of how this shifts. But for the most part, you can actually see how that breaks out into different categories, and you will see more of those contemporary vibes happening in there, albeit at much smaller percentages. Last but not least, on some of the attitudinal and consumer stuff, and then we'll dive right into kitchen and bath. Some of the core things that I thought were important to look at that I think apply to what you're going to see in kitchen and bath is they're really into quality and not quantity, and that even means storage is super important, but I think you're going to see some interesting things as far as cabinetry, the balance of light and windows versus too many cabinets, things like that, and don't get me wrong, they want storage, But I really think the quality and how that whole area feels from an entertainment, light, and overall, again, it's where they spend 80% of their time. It's pretty critical. They're pretty practical, and so they understand, cost and value and trade-off relationships. And so whether it's first-time buyers all the way up to the very luxury buyer profile, I think you'll see some of that. But when it comes to the kitchen, that is the one area that they will really sort of indulge, and it's a gourmet space in more than one way. They want to disconnect versus connect, and so in your bathroom spaces, we've been talking about this for years. It's not just the spa-like features, but it's a serenity space. It's really sort of this space to kind of come in and as was mentioned earlier, it's her space, and it's one of the triggers that helps you sell the home, as well as it's a serenity space for her and for him in many cases as well. Health and knowledge are certainly a big portion of it. You see that in the kitchen and how that all lays out. But I think even the spa-like nature of the master bath certainly can add to sort of that health experience and that wellness, and again, just giving yourself time to unwind. And just overall, think experiences. I mean, I look to just as we start out, this first kitchen here sitting on the left, it's a huge island. It shouts entertainment. It shouts performance. It has a great vibe to it, and it just feels great. And this bathroom to the right, it's pretty fantastic too, and it just has a great overall feel to it. With some, you want to be there, and it looks like something one day I'm going to take that bath with my glass of wine and candles and just relax and enjoy. So let's dive into the top performers, and I'm going to underscore these as top performers because we've really been doing a lot of study across the country. With Design Lens, we actually have over 800 projects in our database of best products across the country. In 2015, we have over 50 new projects that we've actually been looking at in the last 6 months, and that really was our primary focus to say, hey, who are the top performers really over this last year, in our opinion, based on the research that we've done. We've relied on about 30-plus design experts that we're constantly reaching out to. What are the best home designs out there across the country? And our definition of best design is really best in their class. So we weren't focusing just on the luxury side. We really tried to make sure we had a balance geographically where we could, but also more so in product type, price point, and things like that. So we looked at the affordable side, we looked at the move-up side, we're looking at luxury and things like that. So diving into the kitchen itself, and I wanted to start with this as just a simple solution. And this is a pretty average kitchen. And these are just some simple things that you can do, whether it's for Gen Y, it's an affordable position, or a high-end position, and I'm going to show you just a simple use of color and what that can do for a kitchen. That same kitchen, they just took the back of that cabinet and just added some color. And look at the difference that does just for that simple kitchen. It makes an ordinary kitchen pretty extraordinary. And you'll see some of this out there in Loudoun, the Downtown Collection at One Loudoun by Miller & Smith. They just added a simple little treatment here on the back of these shelves. They could have done all cabinets. It would have been more expensive. But they added some character with the built-in shelves sitting in and around the refrigerator there. And it just adds some nice color to a very simple background. You can see that same punch of color here in the nook. It's a great use of space, but obviously a nice punch of color, and all of that together, similar to the slide that I just showed. It's just an easy, inexpensive way to add some character to the space. Here's, I'm starting to see a lot of wet bars come back, and when you look at the boomer population and ask yourself, do they like to drink, do they like to entertain, the answer is absolutely yes. And so we're starting to see some interesting, fun things come back as it relates to the wet bar. So these simple, cute little glass shelves and this little bar top here to the left, and just adding a little bit of entertainment there adds some personality to the space. I am also seeing from a cabinet style, the Java or this mocha cabinet is the most popular still today. But I will tell you, when I look at models across the country, boy, white is everywhere, and it's a nice transitional color that goes everywhere. This is a project, and I could not believe how functional the floor plans are. Now, this is a more contemporary vibe for sure, but I want you to focus on the elements and not always just the style. But this is actually a very functional kitchen. They have this great little island that sort of wraps around in the middle that sits right off of, I mean, who wouldn't want to sit off of that? It entertains perfectly with this outdoor space. Believe it or not, they actually include this backyard as a standard because it was a small little courtyard experience. But the relationship of how the great room lives, again, you're spending about 80% of your time here, is fantastic. It lives well. I can pull up to the bar. I can cook there. And certainly it entertains really well. But as we look to some of these products, watch how functional some of these kitchens are too. Here's the bathroom in this same product. And again, just very clean lines, very simple forms, but just the simplicity of doing the mirrors a little bit different. The accent of the brick off the back wall, just a little bit more texture than typically found, as opposed to just doing the square mirror on the back wall. It sure made a difference just thinking through some of those extra special details. And that light sort of dropping in, not all the way down to the bottom of the tub, so it sort of still holds privacy, so it brings the light that consumer would want. This is another great relationship, same project as you're looking into that space and the relationship to that entertainment space in the kitchen. It's fantastic. Living off of what is considered to be a very small backyard now feels like a very big backyard, but not only does it feel like a very big backyard, it feels like a very big great room because that great room extends all the way out to that space. This one little wow feature is why that community really does very, very well. This kitchen and this plan, and again, less focus on style, but I want you to look at all the function that's in this tiny little home. And again, these are 4,000 square foot lots. It's a zero lot configuration, and I'll show you a floor plan here shortly. But the function that they get out of this space is fantastic, and this is a scene by Toll Brothers. You can actually see, obviously, the island is clean and simple, but what you don't see is that this is an angled island here, and this whole kitchen extends all the way to the back here. There's, again, that big wall of glass that extends this great room right out into the outdoor space. But look at how this floor plan actually lives. As you're coming in here, there's that same island that sort of angles out, so it makes for a very interesting space. And instead of coming into that block rectangular great room space, they've created some character and an experience that happens as you're coming around that space. And look at this kitchen. So as I'm looking into that kitchen, this whole kitchen extends all the way down that hallway. And again, you can see the great cabinetry, not just one drawer, but two drawers as you're coming across here. They did a really clever sink here that's just not your typical sink. It's the stainless sink that adds, again, more character, some lights to just sort of set that off. And then you can see that storage right in this section here just goes straight down. The double ovens don't have to be front and center. That's really more a service use. You've got this great microwave sitting here, and again, more great storage with double drawers and then cabinetry below. It's fantastic. And look at the light just dropping into the space. It really, really feels fantastic. And again, you can apply this. This is considered affordable for this market. You can apply this to a simple cabinetry. It doesn't have to be these sleek contemporary cabinets. This can be applied in a lot of different formats, but this was a small kitchen planned really well. In the same home, I want to point out that a light fixture can really, really make a difference. And the only thing I would tell you, as I looked at this light fixture and I imagined myself taking a bath in that bathtub, I'd be a little worried that if that light fixture fell, that could be an issue. But I will tell you, light fixtures can really set off a space. And so you've got these great light fixtures happening on the island. You've got great light fixtures happening in the bathtubs, and frankly sitting over the vanities, and they are just really those little special differences that make a difference. And it's just one simple little element that someone thought about, but there's some great tubs where they've done natural materials. See the natural materials sitting around that bathtub, just simple, clean forms. It feels good. You have actually a very small cabinet sort of kicked up with some light that actually happens underneath that. Again, a unique mirror application. Mirrors do not cost a lot of money, but with a little bit of thought, it sure can make a difference, as you can see in these images. Here's another view of that same kitchen again. Very simple vanity, a very simple shower, but again, the whole thing feels really fantastic. You want to be there, and wow, the design is just clever and different. And again, take that same approach and apply it in a traditional format or a contemporary format. This is the last kitchen in this series, and again, it's a little bit more of a natural form. They just popped up a little sort of piece of glass here to add some character to that. But look at all of the function once again in this house. Great line light actually flooding into that kitchen space. Some simple lights to kind of pull off that sort of modern classic feel. A little bit different in colors, but look at all the function in this kitchen. A great island, the sink here for actually cutting up vegetables and things like that. You've got a vegetable sink. You've got your typical sink for doing dishes. Again, you've got light all the way up to the ceiling, flooding into the space. Open soffits, so you're not paying for those extra soffits, but just a really nice, clean look that I think looks fantastic with a little bit different appeal than some of the typical kitchens you're seeing out there. The bathroom that actually ties with this, again, clever light fixture, light flooding in from the top. These are small lot homes, but I would take a small lot home that had this kind of character over big lots and bigger square footage all day long. It's got great personality, and there's just some really nice things that really make a difference here. You can see that same kitchen looking from another perspective. They did cabinetry here, some nice things that actually, again, are just slightly unique, and just even some little shelves here that are a little bit different than the typical cabinetry, just to kind of set that off. Another view of the shower sort of looking the other direction. So looking at the kitchen for this home, again, once again, here we see the wet bar coming into this space. We've got a very natural and simple kitchen happening here, so we're going with that Java cabinet that everybody really loves. But now it's a much more natural, modern classic. Again, remember that modern traditional style. This would follow along the lines of more of the modern traditional style with the natural colors, and again, that Java cabinet and high contrast in color. Very, very popular today. You can see that wet bar sitting here to the left. Again, it's another little entertainment space that acts as an addition or an extension of that kitchen. And you can see how that sort of sits and its character to the space sitting here to the right as well. Looking into that kitchen, you couldn't totally see this, but boy is it, once again, just a slight angle. So instead of having this kitchen or this island overpower that kitchen, a slight angle still allows you to have the bar stools that come in underneath. Again, nice natural materials, the clean white walls that really sort of give that high contrast. A little accent of art here, and look at the backsplash, just how classic and wonderful that is in relationship with what's going on with the cabinets and so on, and then carrying off that same thing with the flooring and some of that stuff. It's really a nice look. One of the things that, again, going off of that sort of wet bar concept and the boomers and entertainment really being a big focal point, we're seeing a lot of I would say unique wine cabinets. We saw a lot of wine cellars in sort of the last decade or two, but just unique wine cabinets that actually function as much of art and display as well as a great wine cabinet. The boomers have a lot of collections in their lives, and wine certainly seems to be a big part of that. And to showcase that wine, we're seeing a lot of that, and it's selling. And so to showcase that wine in the entertainment space, and in this small home, you don't have that whole other separate section to have the big wine bar or wine cellar. So they had the wine bar, or the wet bar sitting there to the left, and then this great little showcased wine cellar that can either be a wine cellar or, frankly, you can convert it to a pantry as well. So again, another view of that angled island, which I think is terrific. Going into the bathrooms, this was sort of clever, and I thought a great use of space. They took the two vanities, and it's lit up here, a very simple mirror in this particular case, but around this corner here you can see is actually the walk-in shower. And so as you look at that walk-in shower, it's got a very nice spa-like feature. It's simple, it's clean, it's easy to use. But wow, it's kind of sexy and different, and with the open soffit above there, it really is terrific. And then of course the big faucet here with the rain shower just coming down adds for a special unique feature. As we move into a little bit more contemporary and styling, and certainly the wood colors are a little bit different, very natural tones, so very natural and neutral, but a nice pop of color sure makes a difference. So I just thought it was nice. You're going to see in many cases, color can just add that extra special something, again, whether you're in a traditional venue or in a contemporary venue. In this particular case, it sure can make a difference in your kitchens. I also wanted to point out the clerestory windows that they decided to put in this kitchen to actually drop more light into this inboard kitchen. And when you have those inboard kitchens, it's hard to get the light over the sink that's typically done, but those clerestory windows just really add a nice extra touch, and you can feel it when you're actually sitting in the space. So here's another view looking at that kitchen. Again, all natural tones. They actually mix the woods down here. And then just this nice little touch of the fogged glass cabinets in a special spot just to set it off. I also liked that they just did a little pop of color in this countertop on the island. So you'll see this is a clean white, and this is just a fun little pop of color in a very natural setting. I'm seeing a lot of all natural and then just slight pops of color that really, really can make a difference. As you go into the bathroom, again, simple, classic, just a simple tub sitting, a freestanding tub. These freestanding tubs are all over. I know a lot of you guys are seeing them. But I've seen a lot of builders who are optioning the conventional tubs, and then they give a couple of different optional tubs. And in most cases, I'm hearing builders 70% of the time are actually selling the optional tub. Based on our research, and we've asked the question, how many people actually want the tub in the master? It's about 77% still want that bathtub in the master. If you're 55 years of age and older, it's still over 50% still want that bathtub in the master. So don't lose the bathtub in all cases. If it's a 55 plus neighborhood, I'd show them half the time. And if it's a conventional neighborhood, I would show it 75% of the time. But certainly there are some new, sexy, great showers that can make for a great bathroom as well. Last but not least in this space, look at the use of light. I mean, sitting right over the countertop, this fantastic open window, natural wood that ties completely with that casual organic style that was so popular amongst the 20 plus different styles. And again, just that natural light sitting above the bathroom. It's still providing privacy, but it's still a nice big open window that adds lots of character and style to this space. And again, when you look at this space, I think retreat. I see the natural materials, I see the bathtub. It makes you want to stay and really enjoy this space and dream about this home being yours one day. So looking at that from another direction, again, all natural materials. Those windows really add a lot to this space. Very simple sinks on top, natural materials here. But look at just that little pop of color that they popped into the shower. It's sort of a clever way to bring a little bit of character and extra color to what was a very neutral setting to begin with. I wanted to touch on this because we're seeing a lot of multi-den spaces, and this was one of the more unique multi-den spaces for sure. But I thought this was sort of clever, just the simple wall of countertop and a little microwave and a sink here. Obviously they've got set up for TV, but it was just kind of a clever, fun, different, a little bit of a warehousey feel that really adds a lot. And talk about how color can make a difference. This is a simple kitchen looking forward, all white sitting here, and I did a pop of color with chairs, but look what this wall does. And I just popped the color on the wall, and you'll see this from another perspective. Paint does not cost you a lot, and it really can make a difference. So again, looking at this kitchen from another view, it's actually pretty important. And what you can't see, and you're going to see it in one of my other sites too, is this backsplash is actually paint with a glass actually sitting over that as opposed to a tile. And it's really, really pretty neat. And again, the high windows flooding into the space wherever possible. Another view of that kitchen, again, you can see that glass now more clearly as the backsplash. and then just what that little pop of color does for the space really can make a difference. And again, take this as a bold color palette. You can also take it to a neutral color palette and do the same thing with a charcoal gray and maybe a medium tone beige, and you would still have an equally impactful, just completely now leaning more towards that modern traditional, and it would be fantastic. That same kitchen, what makes it quite a wow is, look what it gets to look at. Again, talk about extending the entertainment of the great room, opening up that space and really marrying that space with the outdoors. Whether you're doing the bifold doors, which those can cost, you know, 10,000 plus or minus, or you're actually doing there's a lot of new doors out there. Western Door is one of those manufacturers that you can actually get those for a much more economical price and still get that exact same feel. It sure is a fantastic way to add to the entertainment of your kitchen and that great room space. So here's another view of that kitchen. How great is that? I love the fact that they actually popped the door color as well as the door here, and it just, you know, it's just those little special things where it adds that character that is memorable. You want to be a part of it. It feels good. Simple things, and some of the things that we actually saw in our earlier presentation, just it's the simple facets, but tying that simple, slightly clean line, a little bit more modern traditional, with a little bit of a different sink at the bottom, but just sort of clean lines and simplistic, natural colors feels great. I love this particular bathroom because there was something clever they did here. So this was housed by Infinity Homes, and I thought this was pretty clever. And I can't tell you how many meetings I've been a part of where the project manager basically says, you know, we're not going to do any bathtubs because nobody takes a bath anymore, and so it's just all about big showers. And so this is a great solution for that debate, even though we've got the quantitative research to actually support holding the bathtub there. What they did here is they basically said, you know, we're going to give them the choice. This shower is actually the included feature, and this bathtub, that's an option. And look how easy it would be to remove that bathtub and just put a great piece of furniture there, if that's really all you want. So you have the choice to hold this nice, spacious shower that everybody would be very excited about. And then this bathtub is just a simple add-on feature. I thought that was a fantastic solution to let the consumer decide what they want. And then if you look at the water closet here, what a clever way to do the water closet. It's just smoked glass. The door opens up. It has a very hotel feel to it. The Hotel W and some of the more contemporary spaces have this. But boy, it feels clever, good, and it makes the space feel bigger. Once again, the upper windows that actually sort of flood light in there while holding privacy. I love that they just held the pictures to sort of carry that whole image there together. It just feels really great. This is another plan, the same concept. Here's your shower. This could be optional. You could do all kinds of things with that extra space if that's something you want to do. I've seen even things like that's where the Stairmaster goes, or there's some other features that, you know, extension of where you put your shoes on in shoe stores, and all kinds of fun things that can happen in those spaces as well. So moving on to kitchens, shelves are certainly very much in kitchens today. We're seeing that not just in the new home world, but we're seeing that in a lot of different magazines. But there's a couple of things going on in this kitchen that I wanted to point out. This different application of island that isn't totally symmetrical. It has a little bit of a different sort of character to it, which I think is kind of fun. Putting the cooktop in the center with this kind of funky gray hood coming down. And these shelves, you would think they're a lot less expensive than cabinets. They aren't always a lot less than cabinets. I do have to underscore that. But they certainly do add sort of a different character to the space, and certainly allows it not to feel so heavy and less cluttered, and it feels good. I'd be curious to see how often that gets taken, but it certainly does show well, and it feels different, and we're seeing lots of those out there. Last but not least, these wide, thinner drawers and giving them more drawers certainly allows you for spice drawers, tools for cooking with, and then, of course, things like pots and lids and all kinds of those kinds of things. And they used every part of this island, including the side cabinetry, too, which I think consumers really, really appreciate when you do those extra things. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Here's a closer view. Again, more of that farmhouse sink, but with a contemporary spin. I love this big single basin sink, and so do consumers. It's easy to drop big pieces in and things like that, and then you also have some additional appliances with that, but it sure feels good as you look towards this kitchen. Bathrooms, as I look at Marbella, this is at Hidden Canyon, there's some really great, this is a phenomenal community if you haven't seen it, but just classic and clean, a simple bathtub in the middle, and as you go around the side, that shower sits right behind it. But this is certainly a very high-end community. Would be focusing on those boomers that are all out there shopping in large force. Kitchens that are outrageous at this community, not just the prep kitchen, but the entertainment, and quite frankly, sometimes serves more like the extension of the Nook. But the multiple prep, we're seeing multiple islands actually coming in, and oftentimes they'll option sort of additional parts of those islands. In this particular case, you'll see the open shelving here, like we just saw in that more affordable version on the prior slide. Again, same thing, a simple cabinetry here, but with all the islands and all this cabinetry happening here, you have plenty of storage here. And I like the fact that they actually mixed up the cabinet colors. Gray is huge for kitchens right now. We're seeing gray go in quite a few kitchens across the country, and having that gray with natural material seems to be a very popular choice. This is great because the bathtub really is considered to be a romantic space. It's considered to be that, again, I'm going to take that bath one day. And so I love the fact that this was sort of this destination, almost an art piece at the end of this hallway, with the cabinet sitting here to the left and the right. And as I got there, again, it was literally like an art piece as you got into the kitchen, or into the bathroom, but still very functional. I mean, I've got my vanities to the left and the right. It still feels very good, and once again, that shower sitting on that back side, which you can see here as we angle here to the right. And again, all kind of great spa-like features as we talked about earlier in our presentation. And a view of actually the vanity space. Lots of light happening in bathrooms, more so than typical. And again, that natural light happening in the vanity and sort of pouring into these spaces. Small bathrooms and large, I'm seeing a lot more windows happening in multiple places outside of than just over the bathtub. Going into the kitchen, this is a little bit more natural in form, and you can see again those double islands. But one of the things I wanted to point out here was a different use of actually that shelving. So you can see there's no shelving across the back. A lot of their shelving happens here to the left, and instead they spend, and this is a very high-end community, some of that money on double islands versus doing a bunch of shelving along that back wall. It allows me to get natural light happening on two sides here, which is fantastic. But it's also kind of a nice character piece. It looks good, it looks different, and it feels like a unique feature and very custom in what would be a semi-custom community. That kitchen continues to extend all the way across the back, again, adding to additional storage, pantry space, and things like that. A lot of, in these heavily concentrated communities where there's a lot more Asian, East Indian, and frankly, it's not just East Indian and Asian. Having sort of that prep kitchen for entertainment and things like that, I think is actually always very nice, particularly on the high end as the for those more expensive price points. What I liked about this walk kitchen, and the reason I'm showcasing this walk kitchen, is oftentimes the walk kitchen does not sell, or that prep kitchen does not sell, because they put too much money into that prep kitchen. So oftentimes I'll see this prep kitchen be, you know, almost like a whole second huge big kitchen, but they really are looking for just this, a great hood, a place to cook. It has to have ventilation to the outside of the house, obviously, to be able to maintain the BTUs and all that stuff that goes with that kind of cooking. But it really can be as simple as this. And I thought this was a well done. This consumer will take this option all day long. But if you get this option into the 15,000 range, they won't buy it. If you get this option into the 5,000 to 7,000 range, they'll take it all day long. Clean and simple bathrooms. I mean, just very clean lines, lots of light, lots of light. Same thing in the as we look to the kitchens. I mean, look how beautiful and clean these kitchens are, and just this extra cabinetry on top with just some extra lighting really adds a lot. And again, that seating sitting in and around the island. All the consumer research that we've done, both from a qualitative to a quantitative standpoint, people want to sit around the island. That's where they entertain. That's where they eat. And let's face it, food attracts people, and it definitely makes people want to hang out and show up. So just down that road, there was a nice little pantry with the wine storage to the left and right. I thought that was pretty fantastic. And another view of just how great that kitchen is. You can actually see another little space sitting back here where it's wine tasting. It could be a cigar room. It could be another office. Really super fun and exciting. Color. Just a pop of color goes a long way. This is actually La Vida. All of the kitchens, for the most part, or a lot of the kitchens that across all of these communities, if you haven't noticed, they're all using white as the base. But just a punch of color like this stove here in red, it just adds this really quaint character. But I also want to note this little feature right here, and I don't even drink coffee, but I'm telling you, those little special features, if included, and imagine if it is an affordable millennial that is working hard, has a 900 square foot flat, and that was an included feature. Boy, that would really set you apart just to do that extra special something. It's those little extras that really make a difference, high-end or affordable. And so that's why when you're looking at these different features from Design Lens, we want you to not take it to the literal sense like, well, hey, I have to be $1 million to be able to do that. It's these little special features that if you can apply these, just one or two wows in each of your features, I think it really can make a big difference. A pop of color goes a long way. This is a laundry room, and they just decided to take the wall to showcase the fact that they had this extra storage behind the door. And what a great way to do it. They threw a glass door on it and just did a pop of color. Again, what a light fixture can do for a kitchen. How fun is this? It takes a very, it's a great kitchen, no question, but it adds an extraordinary touch with just that extra sort of special something that really gives it kind of an extra elegance if you're looking for that shabby chic sort of fun look. As I'm looking to this side, again, a white kitchen, but they just took a different approach to this island and just popped a little color. And then again, this big walk-in pantry, huge, huge, huge. And you can see that view from the side as well. Again, I think these little things, again, I don't even drink coffee, but that would be something that I would say, wow, that would be really great for my guests when I'm entertaining. How great is that? Simple china tubs actually popping out. It's clean, but what do I get out of this? Lots of light. I've got light coming from all corners. As I look at level 1, this is actually a 3-story with a rooftop deck. These are somewhat small kitchens. Again, I would put this in the more, I can't call it affordable price point because it's in a great location, but you certainly can apply this because it's a slightly small kitchen, but just the character of the brick on the wall, lots of light. Look at this big, huge window sitting over the window. And just, it's functional, it's great, it's warm, it feels attractive, and just these simple, cool little lights just set it off. This was a great little functionality that they did, and look at this great barn door. It saves space. So these barn doors are coming up everywhere. It saves space, but it, this little butler's pantry sitting off to the left, how clever and great was that? And just, again, that little pop of color goes a long way. And you can see what that looks like on the inside. Line K. Line K is one of my favorites this year. They actually opened up, there's 2 different projects, but what I love that they did is they took very simple architecture on the outside, clean lines and roof lines and things like that, and did a very modern exterior. And it really has attracted to a whole different new market, very modern for sure, but it feels fantastic. And so you can see the kitchen sitting here in the background. Super simple, super white, super clean, and that's the view looking into that kitchen. Just very starkly clean, feeling great. This is the same series, 1 model down, and look what happens if I just go from a white island to just taking that to the Carrara marble. What a nice little touch that adds, but it also changes the style to some degree. The bathrooms are very clean. Again, a simple line of cabinetry, free-floating tub, but what makes this bathroom special is this floor-to-ceiling light. That really, really feels good. And of course, you're going to want to shade that at appropriate times, but that light is really a big part of what makes this special, and the simplicity of the space really makes it special. The last kitchen in that series for line K, they went starkly high contrast with the black cabinet and again holding to the Carrara marble. But again, just a little bit more of a sophisticated feel. It feels a little bit more masculine, of course. And with this style, you get all kinds of different lifestyles, not just families, but alternative family and things like that. And really widens the audience as to who they were targeting. And they did a fantastic job. Last but not least in this space, I love the fact, again, there's not a ton of cabinetry in this kitchen. Just the simple shelves make for a nice sort of decorative look. And, you know, simple single basin and the stove and the simple hood. It's fantastic. Going into the bathroom, they carried sort of the black theme, and what I loved about this home, they even did sort of the exterior wood doors in the black frames too. So all of these little slight accents of black with white everything was terrific. But once again, what do you notice that's great about this bathroom? It has a lot to do with just that natural light flooding in. We all crave light. So moving to Lucent, this is actually a 29 to the acre flats. It would be considered more affordable for this location, but certainly targeting move downs. It's a luxury location, so just the big shower certainly is great for that move down couple. It's elevator access, but I liked the fact that they just did a little simple, they added that extra detail, that simple place where, you know, you can sit down in the shower or whatever you need, the special shower head on top. It just really has a nice feel overall. Looking at the kitchens, these are albeit smaller spaces, but what a great feel. I mean, volume in the kitchen sitting here, this long island, and again, lots and lots of light flooding in. Here's another view of that same kitchen and just how dramatic that feels. In a small space, it's wonderful. As we look at Meridian, this is a higher end. Again, it's a move down, mature couple product. Clean lines, again, white, but just some really simple, great spaces. But I wanted to point out one thing that they did here that I thought was pretty great, which is this space sitting here. So as we go into that space, look at how creative the storage is. I mean, the Lazy Susans in the corner, I mean, this is gourmet storage at its finest. It is fantastic. And again, another view of that kitchen. And another view of that kitchen. So as we look at the bathrooms, again, clean lines, very simple mirrors, nothing too extraordinary there, but it's clean, simple, classic, and it feels very rich. Wet bars. Wet bars, I'm seeing them everywhere across the country, but I'm seeing features like this. So you have the wet bar entertainment, and again, the showcase of my wine collection. That's a great way to actually do it. And that is actually at, North Sky at Ridgegate by Berkeley Homes. So going to some of the smaller kitchens, and again, whether it's the millennials or Gen X or the move down buyer looking to actually downsize, this is still a great kitchen. A simple island, again, you're seeing it all in white tones with just this little pop of color. They did some decorative stuff with the fogged glass cabinets, but it sure adds some character, and again, lots of light coming all the way down to the bottom of the counter without a backsplash. But the other part of that is interesting is just building in that little corner pantry. When you open that up, it costs you a lot less than throwing a lot more cabinetry in there. It's a good use of corner space, and it really adds a lot to a small space. And I love that they actually did the cabinets flush to the refrigerator above that as well. Another simple thing that we're seeing, again, along with that barn door concept, and I've shown you a few of those barn doors, you can actually see this barn door happening on the bathroom, just clever, different, and special. Another small space at SL70, and this is a great community. If you have not seen this one, they're probably close to sold out, if not sold out. Just that little pop of color that makes a difference. But what I really liked about their kitchens is they showed a clever island without having to build that island. So look at this great little character piece. It's an old vintage piece. This, again, light picture goes a long way that they're just hanging over the top. How fantastic is that? And what do you see here that is special that we've seen in all of the best spaces? Light flooding into these spaces. It just really makes a difference. I loved the clever use of mirrors that they used in their bathrooms, just kind of special and fun. They hung them. They're the rounded mirrors, but it's just that little extra hardware that really can make a difference. And talk about fun light fixtures and character. I mean, again, it's an island that they purchased. They did some fun little chairs sitting around it and just some character with light spaces. And again, what do you see in this space? Lots of light flooding in. There's no cabinet sitting on the back wall. This is a pretty inexpensive kitchen with a whole lot of character. And it really, really feels good. Once again, a view of that, it shouts entertainment. And one last view of another kitchen of theirs at SL70. As we're getting towards the end, here's another community that just used color in its favor. So just this pop of color, this may be a lot for different parts of the country, but what I liked about this, again, apply this to any cabinet color and any pop of color, but instead of doing a tile along the back of this entire kitchen, this is simply glass, just really put on top of a piece of color that, again, can be somewhat economical, and it just looks great. It's fun and it's different. And looking into those bathrooms, again, just clean lines, lots of mirror, lots of glass. I liked the texture. This is just, it's simple brick tile. But just the texture of the pebble texture on the ground sure looks great, and the dual shower head just adds a little extra something special and unique to this community. Color is definitely a big trend. Lots of neutrals with the pop of color. This is a little bit more color than we're seeing, but I thought it was just a sort of a different, special way if you wanted to set something apart and make a statement. Bathrooms that actually, again, staying in the neutral whites and grays and natural tones. You can actually see just the simplicity of this, but just a little pop of modern texture there that really can make a difference. And this whole back wall, it almost disappears, but that's glass. You walk right in and it feels pretty fantastic. Ending with the powder, again, sort of carrying that extra texture of color, something a little bit different. It feels good. As we look to some of the more southwest, this is actually in the Las Vegas market, extremely natural. It's all about the outdoors, so you're going to see a huge engagement into these natural textures. And this certainly is boldly natural, but it feels really good when you see it engage with the outdoor spaces. Again, a different approach to wet bar. You've got the wine showcase sitting behind. People spend thousands and thousands of dollars on these wine collections. Having that as your showcase in the background, and then a nice bar that sits right in front of it. And you can see how the relationship of that kitchen is. And instead of popping that counter up, they just actually took that counter down, made it a little bit interesting in function and design, and has a nice little character to it. And then a couple of different appliances that we don't always see in models. Again, it's those little extras that can make a difference. Showing you how that actually countertop drops down is kind of fun. Again, simple, clean fixtures sitting in the powders or in different parts of the bathrooms. Natural stone, natural material feels really clean and different. And you'll see that carry through into how they treated the bathrooms. Again, very clean lines here, light coming in. But I love the fact that they just have the pebble treatment around this, this tub here. It just feels good, it looks good, and it makes you feel like you're connecting with nature. And sort of adding to that whole health, wellness, spa thing that we're all sort of searching for. A great large big shower with the dual benches here certainly is fantastic. And again, another special approach to bathroom in both vanity and a unique experience that you wouldn't typically expect. The Estates at Del Sur, it goes to a little bit more of that traditional form, again having those cabinets up above. Again, all white cabinets, very simple. We're seeing lots of white cabinets, but just a clean approach to kitchen. I loved this feature, and this was downstairs. It was a way to do a multi-gen space with the barn door, and as that opens up, this becomes a little sort of service kitchen if that's what I want. You can also convert that to a closet. You can convert that to other spaces. But I thought this was a unique way of being able to hide it when you needed to hide it for entertainment purposes, if that's how you used it. But it was a nice, clean approach to a nice little small kitchen, since we're on kitchen and bath, but for a multi-gen space. And you can see that approach looking into that kitchen as well. It's very clever. Bathrooms that are just classic, modern, traditional, and wow. How's that for a view from your kitchen, and how's that for really engaging from the indoors to the outdoor spaces? Great kitchen. This is a little bit heavier in color and heavier in texture, but certainly very earthy, and for the size of this home, it certainly could carry it off. But what I liked about this was doing the refrigerator and this small wine cabinet that sits to the right. I thought that was really a nice approach there. And then, again, another approach to actually having that service kitchen sitting behind the kitchen. We definitely see that a lot more in the luxury spaces, typically more akin to Asian profiles, but also for that affluent customer that wants the service kitchen. The bathrooms that accompany this space, again, it's the free-floating tub with the glass in the background. This was a ginormous, I think the whole entire family could shower in the shower. It was fantastic, but it was a very, very big shower. And you can see another view of that from here. Different approaches to islands, certainly that function more than just the island, but certainly the sitting spaces and sitting around spaces. But again, you'll see more things like shelves and the upper cabinets that certainly are fantastic, and how these light fixtures just set that place off. But now this is what I call a wine cabinet. So look at the opportunity here. Wine galore, and you've got the wine refrigerator, you've got wine storage, and there's certainly, this is for the wine connoisseur that has all the wine they ever wanted to showcase. This is fantastic. Big bathrooms, again, sort of that showcase of the big shower in the background. Look at the view for that bathtub. I mean, going out onto their big deck where they can relax, enjoy, talk about retreat, disconnecting, and really enjoying life. It's fantastic. Other spaces, as we actually look at those spaces. And this is our last project of our tour today. This is Woodson. Again, it's smaller spaces, but just clever with the brick on the background, some slightly different materials. They just did a heavy contrast here, but again, white cabinets. A clever little nook area or seating area that works and functions well, but it's approachable and it's fun and you want to be there. Another clever kitchen, again, a little bit darker in contrast, but again, a high contrast in color of the countertop to the material, but it just feels good. And look at those light fixtures. It just really kind of sets it apart. Camden is a flat product, again, smaller kitchens, but this is a great way to just show off a kitchen. Lots of lights, and you can actually see the contrasting colors. And here's another view of one of their kitchens as well. Again, just white, and I loved the fact that they did a little bit more of an entertainment serving buffet here, and then here's really where that functional kitchen happens here. And you can see actually how it relates to this little space back here. They had a little service, instead of having that kitchen desk in the kitchen, just these great little kitchen pockets that have sort of the whether it's mom central or kids central or frankly their central. We're seeing that quite a bit throughout the country. Great storage everywhere, I think, is huge, and particularly when you're working with small spaces, to show how that can function is phenomenal. And here's another use of space with high contrast of the marble in relationship to natural materials, kind of hugging that nature. And last but not least, as we're looking at how that relates to outdoor space, again, embracing nature in all areas. These are the Orchard Park Flats. This is New Home Company. This is a more affordable product for this location, but again, smaller spaces. Again, the gray and the white textures, very simple kitchens. The open cabinetry here actually add character and some personality to that. Even this little curve happening in the kitchen certainly adds a lot. And you can see that from an angle, and those light fixtures and all that light sort of flooding in here as opposed to covering that with cabinets or trying to make something different of it sure adds a lot to this space. Avignon by Standard Pacific. We've got large kitchens here, but the engagement of these spaces to the outside spaces are pretty phenomenal. The bathrooms are luxurious and huge, much like some of the spaces we saw on the prior. Capella at Taylor Morrison, these are small lot homes, believe it or not. I think they're 45 by 85s, but just small kitchens that feel luxurious and gourmet. And it's just those little sort of spaces. Instead of putting a nook table here, they made this a little morning room or a little sitting room where you can actually work on your desk, kind of hang out and have a glass of wine, or frankly read the paper. Woodson by TriPoint, you'll see some, the reason I showcased this island was, this is a really small island. This is literally a bank of drawers under here, but they wrapped this, and I thought it was a clever way to wrap it and make a small island feel big, and I love the chairs they picked for this. So again, a pretty tiny space that they made feel really, really big and fantastic. And I believe this is our last slide, and this is a great bathroom that's clean, simple, it embraces light, it's natural materials. I love the tub because it's just clean lines and it feels good. And once again, you could easily option that tub with a shower, and that would do fantastic. I do have one final section here, and it's about the little extras, but I promise to be brief on this. And it's just those little things make a difference. Brookfield Homes, I think, does a fantastic job of just showing those little extras. So it's the cutting board, it's the little things you do that you need for cutting vegetables and draining vegetables and all that stuff. I think these are clever things, and frankly, include them. They're great little things that make you different from your competitors. The pull-out drawers, whether it's for vegetables or potatoes or all of this stuff, I mean, what a clever thing just to have built in and thought about. The refrigerator that actually houses the things that you're using the most. Where you're cutting vegetables, why not put the refrigerator where you're actually going to be using your vegetables? Those special things where do I put those? I don't know about all of you, but I've got those cutting boards that I'm like, oh my God, where am I going to stick this now? But just thinking through how people actually live. We're all into a lot more of sort of the organic vegetables and spices and things like this. I thought this was a beautiful addition to a kitchen, and to have that sort of spice rack and those kind of special things that you thought about. These are the kind of things that I think, again, it really sets you apart. That corner piece of the cabinet that everybody hates and nobody can get to, why not make use of it? I've seen this both in the cabinet down below, and I've seen this definitely in the corners as well. An inexpensive way, whether you're actually doing a piece of furniture or to extend your island, this was a great piece that I thought was pretty clever. There was ways to actually doing this, a cutting board-like situation, or this where you're actually pulling it out and you get to extend that island when and where you need it and pull it out. Little spice drawers and extra cabinet solutions I think are certainly important. And probably one of the biggest things that I found missing out there when we looked at a lot of the solutions out there for kitchen, and we were picking sort of our top guys out there, was really technology. I'm not seeing technology out there in a big way, and I think in kitchen it is a huge advantage. So smart grid appliances and how you're connecting those together, you know, just simple things. I mean, there are refrigerators out there that as you literally pull out a glass of milk or pull out your orange juice or whatnot, you can track the things that you're pulling out and putting in. But I think connecting some of that technology would be great. And even just how you're setting up for, I mean, I cook all the time with my iPad. I'm always putting my iPhone in there and I'm connecting to our Sonos system. So all these things are pretty logical things that a lot of consumers are doing, and there's easy ways to plan for that and show them in your models. I think it's fantastic. And there are some pretty special things out there that tie to sort of that natural texture that are just a little bit different that can make a difference. So in summary, let's touch on the top 10 trends that I think are your takeaways from today's presentation. And I appreciate everybody for staying late. But if in doubt, go with simple white. There is simple white cabinetry throughout many of the best solutions out there. A light can go a long way. So the light fixtures that we saw, whether it was in the bathrooms, the bathtubs, the islands, boy, just a special light fixture made a big difference. Gourmet storage is gourmet life. And these gourmet little storage spaces and creatively thinking about those, fantastic. And is the wet bar back? I mean, ask yourself, do boomers like to drink? And frankly, do millennials like to drink? Do they all like to, you know? So absolutely, I think the wet bar and being creative about that solution, particularly for those boomers who have these huge wine collections and things like that, they want to showcase them, and I think they want to entertain, and it's a big part of, I think, as they begin to spend more time entertaining at home. Number 5, character counts in every style. So whether it's modern, traditional, or uniquely contemporary, ask yourself, does this space have character? Or do I have the little character pieces like the SL70 kitchen, those fun, funky wires coming down and the light fixtures? That was a really simple kitchen, but it had a lot of character. Number 6, color goes a long way, and it costs you nothing. It's just being thoughtful about color. Color can go modern, traditional, and it can go uniquely contemporary. It can go several ways, but using color is a very easy way to make a difference. Natural light or natural anything is good for the soul, and they want that, the health, wellness, all those things. So tie that into great design. 8, function and form first always is more important than size. Function and form, I think, is the biggest opportunity in the future in the next 5 years as interest rates go up and prices become more challenging. I think we should be getting better and thinking about how can we be better with space. And number 9, where the heck is the technology? We need more technology and time savers in these homes. It's all available. It's ready for the right builder to actually start connecting this stuff together. And it's not hard programming, it's more on the soft programming. And then last but not least, and I'm a huge believer of this, but the difference between ordinary and extraordinary really is the little extras. So with that in mind, we'd love to invite you to be part of the Design Lens family. We do have product tours that we actually bring to a lot of our clients' desks every month, keeping them informed on 8 new products and historical neighborhoods and special features so that you're constantly on top of what's happening across the country. We have all kinds of information for you that we'd like to invite you to. So I appreciate you listening to this. I'm sorry I went about 10 minutes late. We'd love to work together with you, but we firmly believe better information will help you make better decisions. Isabel Cairns is the person in our office who does quite a bit on the Design Lens side, so please reach out to her if you have an interest in Design Lens, and feel free to reach out to me as well. So with that, I'm sorry, Heather, to conclude late, but that concludes my presentation for today.
No, you had lots of great visuals to share, so I know we had very little drop-off, so it looks like everybody was anxious to stay on with us and see those cool trends. And I know I really liked the slight pop of color and the spa-like freestanding tubs and farmhouse sinks. So we did have just a couple questions that came in. In consideration of everybody's time, I'm going to wrap up. However, if you did want to email me, you're going to get my email on the thank you for attending, and I'm happy to answer that question, and or Molly and I will connect and answer that question for you. And I just want to thank you, Molly. I want to also mention that you're going to be speaking on a few panels next week at PCBC. HomeSphere will be there as well. And I want to just take a moment to encourage everybody to like HomeSphere on Facebook, to stay tuned for future events. We'll do another webinar like this in Q3, more than likely in the month of September. And if you're a builder and like to connect and learn more about collecting rebates with preferred partners such as our sponsor today, Gerber Dans, you can also reach out to me directly and I will make that happen. If you're attending PCBC and you want to meet with Molly or myself directly, also respond and we'll see if we can make that happen as well. And HomeSphere is working with Isabel, who Molly just mentioned, on a really cool panel that's the Internet of Things and Smart Home Technology. So interesting segue with where you left off there and more technology being needed in the kitchen. I believe that's at 3:45 San Diego time next Thursday the 25th. And in the meantime, just stay tuned for future events. We appreciate your time today and I wish everybody a good day.
Yes, thanks everyone. Have a great day.